Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, we got a crazy rumor across the wire on Wednesday. The Tennessee Titans are looking at Josh Gordon. I'll explain why he's actually a pretty good fit for what the Titans are looking for. Also on Wednesday, the Titans completed their practice squad. I'm going to go over all the highlights, including Reggie Roberson and David Anenih. And then finally, we do got to talk about some of the news that we got late on Tuesday that Titans wide receiver Racey McMath will be going on injured reserve. I'll tell you who I expect to take his roster spot. All of that on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Titans fans, we do got to talk about this rumor of Josh Gordon visiting with the Titans on Wednesday. Before we get into it, do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform that you do stream. I am going to be putting out daily, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round on all platforms, including the Locked On Titans YouTube channel. Subscribe there, smash the notification bell, and throw a thumbs up on the video if you are watching right now. It goes a long way to help supporting the channel. But we got to dive right into this rumor. No, the Tennessee Titans have not officially signed Josh Gordon at this time. Maybe some of you guys who listen to the show later on Wednesday night, listen on Thursday morning, maybe he will have signed with the Titans by that time. But right now, it appears to be just a visit. Josh Gordon is just visiting. But it leads us to wonder about Josh Gordon's fit. So first, we got to talk about Josh Gordon's history in his past. Obviously, everybody knows the up and down issues that he had with the drug policy in the NFL. But that drug policy that caused him to miss so much time has been severely relaxed. And thank God, too, the way that marijuana was treated within the NFL was just a disaster for quite some time. So everything that got him into trouble before is not really an issue right now. So you can kind of put that out of your head if you're going to come in and say, oh, he'll be in trouble. All the things that got him in trouble aren't things that are going to bother him right now because the rules have changed. So that's the thing. But, you look back into that history, you have that incredible year in Cleveland in 2013 with over 1,600 yards. He had 87 catches and 9 touchdowns that year. You are not getting that Josh Gordon in 2022. Just put that out there right now. The more likely version of Josh Gordon that we are going to get is the one that was in Kansas City last year that in 12 games caught 5 passes for 32 yards. You're getting a Josh Gordon that is going to be an end-of-the-roster guy playing a specific role. So keep that in mind as we have this discussion. I'm not expecting Josh Gordon of the Cleveland Browns. I'm expecting Josh Gordon of the Kansas City Chiefs. But what I do know about Josh Gordon is he's 6'3". He's 220-some pounds. What are the Titans missing right now? You have Robert Woods, your skilled wide receiver who's going to get open and use nuance and fakes and all of the little intricacies of the position to get open. You have a guy like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine who, in my opinion, not a burner by any means, but a big physical wide receiver who can be a possession guy. He's not going to give you a lot yards after catch, any of that. Then you have Burks, who's your explosive guy. Then you have Kyle Phillips, who's your slot guy. What the Titans don't have is what they'll probably be missing, and that's a big speed option. You need a size speed threat in this wide receiver core. The Titans already have one of the worst wide receiver groups in the NFL. It's just a reality. They're bottom 10. And guys, there are going to be injuries. Racey McMath probably going on IR. So you need somebody who can be that downfield threat for you with that size-speed combination. And again, no, Josh Gordon isn't Cleveland Browns Josh Gordon. But you're not asking him to be when he's your wide receiver 5. These are the conversations These are the conversations that I had about Will Fuller. People saying, oh, he's hurt all the time. Oh, he's unreliable. Who is available right now? Who is? Tyler Johnson was claimed. The Titans did not get an opportunity to have Tyler Johnson. What is Preston Williams, who's dealt with a ton of injuries, better than Josh Gordon? Is that more reliable or is that more enticing? No. Are any of these guys any of the guys on the Titans practice squad? Des Fitzpatrick, Cody Hollister, Reggie Roberson, Mason Kinsey, are any of these guys a better option than Josh Gordon? No. Do you want to watch Josh Gordon on the Titans as wide receiver 5 or Dez? Duh. So no, Josh Gordon isn't what he used to be. I'm not expecting that. But he's still 6'3", 225 pounds, and as a depth wide receiver for a couple of weeks, for a month, until they get Racey McMath back in the fold. And let's do this. Is Racey McMath really going to be that much better than Josh Gordon? No, it's not going to be a big enough difference. So other than you, if you're somebody who wants the Titans to go out and make some kind of crazy trade, you want the Titans to go out and get Will Fuller or whatever, then fine. But I don't see how you can look at any of those options and say that they are demonstratively better than Josh Gordon. And you can't say Cole Beasley. That is a Kyle Phillips overlap. The Titans need a 6-foot-plus guy who can get down the field and make contested catches. They need someone to replace what Racey McMath was going to give them. You're not going to get somebody like that who is considerably better than Josh Gordon right now. We're talking about all these guys who got cut, all these guys who got released. None of them are some diamond in the rough. If they were, they would have got claimed. Tyler Johnson got claimed. So really you're talking about Josh Gordon, Preston Williams, Des Fitzpatrick. Who do you want out of that? Does it matter? Yeah, I'll take Josh Gordon because Josh Gordon on the team is just simply going to be more fun. Shout out to Mike Miracles who made the comparison to Adrian Peterson. If they had Josh Gordon, it would be like the Adrian Peterson situation. No, this guy who had a good career before is not going to be the guy he is. But hey, it was kind of fun having him on the team, right? So I'm in for fun. And let Josh Gordon take that Racey McMath spot until Racey McMath is healthy and back on the team in a month. And then Josh Gordon is gone, or you put him on the practice squad, whatever. It's just, my point always will be on the pushback. Find somebody significantly better who's available right now. There isn't anybody there. So you're splitting hairs. And I'm willing to take on Josh Gordon for his size-speed combination. I want to see that. So we're going to talk about why the Titans are in this position. And again, this is not a confirmed signing, just a rumored visit. Just wanted to discuss what it would be if the Titans did bring him in. We're going to talk about why the Titans are going to bring him in at the end of the show when we talk about Racey McMath and who may be getting Racey McMath's roster spot immediately before Josh Gordon gets a chance to. But right now we got to dive into the Tennessee Titans practice squad. They completed their practice squad on Wednesday. I'm going to go over the highlights and let you know who stayed within the organization. Before we get into that, though, do need to tell you guys about our friends over at Elias Game Plan app. So football season's right around the corner. Whether you're into sports betting, you're into fantasy, you need a competitive edge to help you win. That's what you get with the Elias Game Plan app. You guys know about Elias Sports Bureau. They're the official statisticians of the U.S. pro sports leagues, including the NFL. So why would you not want to go to them to get information to set you apart from the people you're competing against? Go to the Elias Game Plan app right now in the App Store. Make sure that you subscribe, and when you do, you'll get a special offer. If you use my promo code LOCKEDONNFL, you'll get a 14-day free trial off a monthly subscription. Again, if you use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. So find the Elias Game Plan sports betting app in the App Store or the Play Store today and use that promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get a 14-day free trial off a 1-month subscription. Titans fans, we're going to continue today's show. We're breaking down everything that took place on Wednesday. The Titans rumored to have a visit with Josh Gordon. The Titans setting up their practice squad, and we're expecting some news on Racey McMath and his visit to the IR and who might have a chance to replace Racey McMath on the roster. So diving in here, the number one name that stands out to me on the practice squad is David Anenih. We did it, folks. We did it. David Anenih passed through waivers. The Titans got him back on the practice squad. I thought Anenih should have been on the Titans roster as the fifth outside linebacker. I thought he flashed in the preseason, but no worries. David Anenih is in the organization still. He will be on the Titans practice squad, and I would imagine he'll be a protected player. I mean, the Titans already went through one scare with Anenih going through waivers. He gets through. Let's not do this again. We need to keep David Anenih around, okay? Outside of David Anenih, though, you got to talk about Logan Woodside. And, guys, I know I am the number one Logan Woodside hater around these parts. I get it. But let me say this. I love Logan Woodside as the practice squad quarterback. It's perfect. It's what I've been asking for 3 seasons. I don't think that Logan Woodside is a guy who just shouldn't be around at all. He just shouldn't be on an active roster. The Titans now have one of the better practice squad quarterbacks in the NFL. A guy who's excellent at running the scout team, a guy who can continue to help Malik Willis while Ryan Tannehill is focused on getting the Titans wins. This is what I've wanted all along since the Titans picked up Malik Willis in the draft. I just want Logan Woodside on the practice squad. That's all I really care about. He can stay on the team. He can stay on the team. That's fine. That's fine. So at this point, with Logan Woodside at quarterback on the practice squad, I feel pretty squared away with that. We talked about David Anenih. I like having him on the team. Wide receiver, Reggie Roberson. I've been really happy about his performance, especially in that last preseason game, number 88. I think Roberson has real potential to get up on the roster. I just don't think he's ready yet. I could see Reggie Roberson taking quality snaps for the Titans this year in real games. So I'm glad that they were able to bring him back. Also, fan favorite, Mason Kinsey. Hydration break. Oh, you guys take a drink of water right now. Drink of water. You, drink of water. Anyways, moving forward, I like Reggie Roberson on the team. And Mason Kinsey, I have said this all along that I want to keep Mason Kinsey around because I view him as a direct backup for Kyle Phillips. If Kyle Phillips were to get hurt, the Titans have built Kyle Phillips into the offense. They need somebody with a similar skill set to do that. And Mason Kinsey consistently was a backup kick returner for the Titans, kick return and punt return. So now you have somebody who can be your direct Kyle Phillips backup on the practice squad. Des Fitzpatrick also made the practice squad, whatever. John Robinson just doesn't want to let that go and admit that he truly picked a non-NFL player. Why does everyone like Kinsey? I don't get it. Never seen him do anything in a game. He was the Titans' leading receiver last year in the preseason. He's literally led the Titans in pretty much everything last year in the preseason. I've seen Mason Kinsey do good stuff in a game. Now, I don't think he's anything more than a practice squad player, but I don't get why everybody hates Mason Kinsey so much. I mean, he's just a solid guy to have in the organization. I don't get the Mason Kinsey hate or where that came from. I don't know. I just always viewed him as an end of the roster practice squad guy who can be that slot receiver if needed. So I don't know. I don't know where all the hate comes from. Quite frankly, I didn't know that there was an over-exaggeration of love either. I just think the dude's solid. Solid practice squad option for the Titans. So you got Dez, you got Kinsey, you got Reggie. Dez, I could see him go, but I love adding Reggie and I love adding Kinsey. Also, somebody that I said I thought could get a roster spot is Jordan Roos. I like Jordan Roos as a guy to keep on the practice squad. He started for the Titans at times, well, pretty much the whole preseason, quite honestly. So, yeah, if he's a guy who starts for you during the preseason, then keep him on the practice squad. That makes sense. Guys, we got to realize here, we're talking about practice squad players. Not all of them, none of them, honestly, are going to be starting level or anything like that. So, I don't know. Some people are just way too hard on some of these end of the roster guys. You're not going to mine starting level players on your practice squad all the time and stuff. Like, it's just not going to work like that. So, I like having Jordan Ruse around. I like keeping him on the practice squad. I like that personally. Also got to talk about Larrell Murchison. Been with the Titans after being a draft pick. Off the roster now. I like having him on the practice squad. That's a good move there. Continue his development, but I thought there were guys that outperformed him like Hand and Jones and Kevin Strong. So no surprise for me there, but I like having a guy like Murchison who has real NFL experience on the practice squad because these guys are going to get called up eventually. And when they do, I want guys who have some actual experience playing in games at some of these positions in the trenches. So outside of that, Theo Jackson, the Titans' 6th-round rookie safety. Everybody likes him because he's a Tennessee kid. I think if he can continue to progress, then I think Theo Jackson has a chance to, at the end of the year, be on the roster and have a role. So I like keeping Theo Jackson in the organization. Outside of those guys, just to run through it quickly, Trent Cannon back on the practice squad. You have David Wells, and shout out David Wells. David Wells is not a creative player. He's with the Titans organization. They're keeping him around. Shout out to David Wells. Good for you. Thomas Odukoye stayed, and here's the thing with Thomas Odukoye. The Titans get 17 guys on the practice squad with Thomas Odukoye because he is an international pathway player. I explained this yesterday. So the Titans get an additional practice squad spot if they keep one of those international pathway players, and Thomas Odukoye is that, so he'll be on. They also kept Larrell Murchison, Jaden Peavy, Sam Okwe-Anonu, who finished the preseason game with a sack against the Cardinals. Joe Jones, a fan favorite, back on the practice squad. Chris Jackson, back on the practice squad as well. I know there was conversation that Brett Kern may be back with the Titans. He's not going to be on the practice squad. Brett Kern, it looks like, according to his father, is just going to chill at home in Tennessee and wait to see if the Titans need him because he doesn't want to move away from Nashville. I think that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But we are going to continue breaking down the news. Looks like Racey McMath is going on the IR. I think I have an idea of who's going to be replacing him on the roster. I know we talked about Josh Gordon taking his spot, but I don't know if it'll be Josh Gordon taking Racey McMath's spot on the roster. I think there will be a couple of moves in between that. So I'm going to dive into that in just a moment. Before I get into it, though, we do got to talk about something a little bit serious here, guys. So let me just tell you like this. Are you one of these people that think it's okay to drive stoned? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit? It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. Not only do you put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, you'll get a DUI. Titans fans, we're going to continue breaking down all the news from Wednesday. We got to talk about Racey McMath, expected to go on injured reserve, how long he'll be out, who I think will be taking his spot on the roster, and obviously that leads us into some more Josh Gordon discussion. And what I want to do right now, I'm just going to say this. Tag me on Twitter at TicTacTitans if you're in the chat right now. Everybody who's complaining about Josh Gordon, tell me your replacement. Tell me who you'd rather have right now. You can't just bring up a problem and not bring up a solution. So do you want Preston Williams, a guy coming off a couple of knee issues and knee surgeries? Do you want Des Fitzpatrick, who has proven that he can't even catch the football? Who do you want then? The Titans have 4 wide receivers right now. They need a 5th. Somebody in the chat, somebody on Twitter, tell me who is a significantly better option than Josh Gordon. Just tell me. Just all these people complaining in the chat. Tell me then. Who do you want instead? You guys are going to start, trade a high pick for this guy. Maybe this dude will get cut eventually. Go get Darius Slayton. I mean, we got to be logical here. You can't bring up a problem if you don't bring up a solution. That's how I was raised. That's what I was taught. So if you're going to bring up the problem, need to trade for someone. Trade for someone. Trade for someone. Trade for who? Trade for who? Because what's going to happen is when the Titans go trade for that guy, half of my chat and half of Twitter is going to say why he's a bum and it was stupid and they should have got somebody else. We're talking about the end of the depth chart guys. So I just don't know who you guys think is so much of a better option. Maybe a 12 to 15 mil a year guy. Yeah, Skog, I think you're being, what do you mean? Go trade for a 12 to 15 million a year guy with what cap space? Like, come on, guys. This isn't men. This is the same thing when I brought up Will Fuller and everybody said he's going to be out for half the season. Well, do you want half a season of Will Fuller or do you want a full season of Des Fitzpatrick? Come on. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? So, yeah, Josh Gordon is not a perfect solution. No, he's not going to be awesome. But why would you trade anything for all of these guys who are barely at the end of the roster? Somebody says Cole Beasley. Kyle Phillips. Why would you trade anything for Cole Beasley when you have Kyle Phillips? Like, why? You need a guy who's 6 foot plus with speed to get downfield. They don't need to replace Kyle Phillips. They need to replace Racey McMath. They need a guy who's about 6'2" with a little bit of speed. They can get down the field. Maybe make a contested catch. Guys, we got to be logical here. So, I think Major Key said Golden Tate. Yeah, me included. Everybody wanted Golden Tate last year. Well, did he even practice? So you just got to remember that, guys. You can be mad about the Titans looking at Josh Gordon, but who do you want? Who do you want instead? Someone says Keelan Cole. Okay, that's at least a valid solution. Good job, King Nat 777. At least Keelan Cole is a valid solution. Yeah, okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that, fine. But I don't think that Keelan Cole would be that much better than Josh Gordon. Like, what's the real difference? And Skog says, Tyler, the cap is a myth. The cap is not a myth. That's like a new buzz thing that people say. The Titans have like $7 million of cap space right now. The way that you finagle the cap is with long-term deals because you can lower cap hit by putting a lot of signing bonus in the first year, and then you'd use void years to spread things out. You can't do that with these contracts right before camp with guys who were just released. There is no wiggle room there. So I'm not saying Josh Gordon's perfect, guys. But at the end of the day, is there an option out there that's demonstratively better that gives the Titans a size speed threat to get down the field? I don't see anybody who's significantly better enough for me to be mad about it. I'm just happy that the Titans are bringing in other wide receivers. They're doing something here. They're doing something. Golden Tate was on the Titans practice squad for a few weeks last year and couldn't get up to the active roster. Josh Gordon is a better player right now than Golden Tate. Okay? That's pretty obvious. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but I'm also saying that there's nobody out there that makes me think it's a terrible decision if it happens. The reason that the Titans need Josh Gordon is because Racey McMath is going on the IR with a hip injury. That means he is going to be out at minimum the first 4 weeks of the season. So, with that in mind, who's getting that roster spot? My expectation is, and what I think that Terry McCormick hinted at today, is that it'll be Dr. Gibby, Jack Gibbons, is going to get the new roster spot open by Racey McMath going on IR, which means if the Titans do bring in a wide receiver, then someone else is probably going to get cut. I think it'll be Julius Chestnut. I think it'll be Julius Chestnut or Trey Avery or Corey Levin. That's my expectation. So, anyways, guys, that is the Josh Gordon news. That's the Racey McMath news. That's the Dr. Gibby news. That's the practice squad news. Wrapping up everything. I am going live at about, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday right now. If more news breaks throughout the night, I'll have reactions for you guys tomorrow. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.